Good evening, y'all. Welcome to episode 8 of WYS. Watch Your Step. My name is Paul Cleckler with you here every Thursday as always. Hope you guys have had a great week. Hope you've been enjoying yourselves. Lots to catch up on this week. Lots of different things happening around the country and the globe. And once again, our stories, we're starting right off with Here we go. We got our stories right. Oh, man, we got to get on the production crew, eh? All right, hey, we got lots to talk about this week. We got illegal alien crime sprees, blatant murders, rampant crime everywhere, blood on the hands of the administration. Mayor Adams backtracking on some of his prior stances on illegal immigration in the city. Fani Willis, she's toast, y'all. I'm going to tell you why. A lot happened yesterday in the hearing. We got video. We got lots to talk about as well. Election 24, we had a couple of primaries that just went down. Some recent interesting polling that's mostly very, very positive for President Trump. But they've taken him off the ballot in a different state. We're going to talk about that as well. The Supreme Court is going to hear the Trump immunity case. Mitch McConnel out, stepping down as Senate Minority Leader. And we're going to go live tomorrow with all the Fani stuff, talking about all of that and more this week. First off, there is an illegal immigrant, illegal alien crime spree, rampant, y'all, across the country. We just had the story and the break last week about Laken Riley, that was murdered, a University of Georgia student. Killing suspect illegally migrated to U.S., authorities say. The victim has been identified as 22-year-old Laken Hope Riley. She was found unconscious with visible injuries. I think the report says her skull was rendered unrecognizable. Her reported case of death is blunt force trauma. The University of Georgia Police Department arrested 26-year-old Antonio Ibarra in connection to the death of 22-year-old Laken Riley. Police announced that Ibarra is not a U.S. citizen, not a UGA student, nor did he know Riley personally. According to multiple DHS sources, he is here illegally from Venezuela. Sources confirmed he crossed on September 22 and was released due to lack of detention space. He saw an individual and bad things happened. That is an understatement, I would say. So yet another illegal immigrant. They had a vigil for Laken Riley today, or was it yesterday, at the University of Georgia. Here's a little clip of that. Stadium. A red state. They're not ones that usually are considered a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state by any means, but there is a story that came out. Here you go about this. The Laken Riley murder, Athens Clarke County Sheriff campaign on not cooperating with ICE for a culture of fear. Laken Riley was allegedly murdered by an illegal immigrant from Venezuela. After the Athens Clarke County mayor insisted that the community where nursing student Laken Riley was murdered by an alleged illegal immigrant was not a sanctuary city, residents pointed to the sheriff who campaigned on not cooperating with ICE. A resurfaced video from 2020 appears to show then candidate John Williams, who is now the Athens Clarke County Sheriff, stating that he would not cooperate with ICE. It's just this liberal lack of common sense, this liberal love for, or this liberal disdain for law and order, and flouting the federal responsibility, this federal statute, to detain and deport illegal immigrants. The own federal government's not enforcing their own law. Now we got the sheriff of Athens Clarke County who ran on another one of these, not defund the police because he is police, but another one of these modern type leftist style DA approaches to not prosecuting crimes, letting illegals go, all this kind of stuff. And it's killing people. This new age liberalism is killing people. He, quote, "It is not my intention to cooperate with detainers," Williams told a reporter from the Athens Politics Nerd. "I see it as a sheriff's responsibility to protect the community. We can't help with a culture of fear in our community and expect our community to respond and help us in situations." So there you go. There you go. And the New York Post has a story out. Lake and Riley murder suspect Jose Ibarra was free because the system is broken. There's a nice young girl whose future was cut short by this wave of illegal immigration that has happened under our current president. Laken Riley's dead because America failed to protect her. For every crime her suspect killer committed, he was let free. Every chance to prevent the tragedy that unfolded was squandered. Police say the killing of Augusta University College nursing student was a, quote, crime of opportunity, but was an opportunity provided again and again by callous Biden administration and justice system gone mad. The suspect, Jose Antonio Ibarra, illegally crossed the border into El Paso in September of 22. Yes, illegally. Despite what activists might claim, he was not a, quote, asylum seeker. That's a designation for someone who is fleeing religious or political persecution. Ibarra, along with his wife and 5-year-old child, was looking for better economic opportunities that they could find in Venezuela, which, fine, that's what immigrants have sought for hundreds of years. But they must follow the rule. If he legitimately wanted asylum, he was legally obligated to apply for it in safe haven in between Venezuela and here. So the article goes on, this makes lots of poignant points, is that the situation and the system is rigged against the law enforcement, against the border control, against any of these cities that actually want to police their own state. Look at here, right here in Texas, right now in Texas, they just had a federal judge block Texas law allowing police to arrest illegal immigrants. Now, this just came out, something that Abbott had done to try to empower the National Guard to help free up the sovereign land of Texas, because Biden's letting the national border just be overrun. They're overrunning these communities, killing everybody, raping people, and they're trying to at least do something on their own and take it into their own hands in Texas. And now a federal judge has come out and blocked that. A Texas law giving state law enforcement officers expanded power to arrest people who illegally cross the southern border was blocked by a federal judge on Thursday, less than a week before the law was slated to go into effect. U.S. District Judge David Ezra granted a preliminary injunction that will block the Texas law, which made crossing the border illegally a state crime. As record numbers of migrants cross into the U.S. under President Joe Biden, the Texas Tribune reported. Ezra, an appointee of President Ronald Reagan, wrote in his ruling that states, quote, may not exercise immigration enforcement power except as authorized by the federal government. So Abbott came out and said this was not unexpected. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. It's just another issue that we're having to have states and the third branch of government, the courts, the Supreme Court, rule in and rein in this reckless Biden administration that is against its own people, against the interests of Americans, of the citizens, in favor of those who aren't citizens, who they don't even know who they are, many of whom have no reason to be here, have criminal records, and are killing people. Lots is going on in the story this week. Speaking in Texas, here's one from, all this is just this week, okay? All of this you're about to see is just this week.
A woman accused in Mexico of several murders and body dismemberments, even removing victims' hearts, is arrested in El Paso. And within the last 10 minutes, ABC7 obtained this arrest photo. She is Michelle Angelica Pineda, also known as La Cheli. She was wanted for 5 murders in Juarez. She's also suspected of being involved in several other killings. Investigators say she crossed illegally into the U.S. and was operating on behalf of the gang Artistas Asesinos, or assassin artists. The FBI says Pineda was known for extreme brutality,
just wants a better life,
dismembering bodies, removing
dismembering
hearts,
people and cutting their hearts out and shit
in front of Santa Muerte statues. Authorities say they found guns, machetes, and fentanyl, as well as other drugs at the motel. El Paso's FBI says several law enforcement agencies worked together to arrest Pineda at an El Paso motel.
That's just this week down in Texas, what they're having to deal with. Illegal immigrant woman gang member, the Assassin Artists is the name of their gang. Over here killing people, cutting their hearts out and shit. Probably got a cell phone, some free food from us, bus ride or wherever she wanted to go, all on our dime, all courtesy of the Biden administration to deliver her right into this community where she's killing Americans. More blood on the hand of the Biden administration. Here's another one from this week. Breaking: an illegal immigrant from El Salvador has been arrested for the murder of a 2-year-old child. This comes after Noel Trejo Carnados was arrested multiple times on various charges and released from custody in New Jersey despite a deportation order for him. Look at this stuff. They had the deportation order from this guy. He's already been arrested a bunch of times, and now he's killing toddlers. Killing toddlers. Had a deportation order, but they're just going to let him go in the meantime. Just, go frolic among the states and among the innocent people, chopping them up and killing them up and doing whatever. A 2-year-old child. 2-year-old child. Here's another one. In Utah. Illegal immigrant in Utah arrested for alleged rape of 11-year-old. Guatemalan national in the country illegally was arrested by Utah police on Monday for allegedly raping an 11-year-old girl, according to police records obtained by the Daily Wire. The 26-year-old Jonathan Estuaro Rano Garcia is being held in the Utah County Jail, and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement placed a detainer on him. They're everywhere, man. This is all on the Biden administration. All this blood, this girl's sanity, her body, her freaking self-worth is on the Biden administration's hand. Say their name. Laken Riley, say her name. The blood is on this administration's hand. The blood is on Mayorkas' hands. And all this global cabal, these Marxist, socialist, Democrats is what you ultimately have to call them, because they have enough people that's voting blue. No matter what, they're complicit. If you don't know what's going on in this country and you're voting for this, then you're complicit too, I guess. That's my opinion. I don't know how you don't say. I mean, if you're voting for this policy in this country and you're okay with it, I don't understand how you don't care more about the lives and communities of American citizens. I just don't. And as Ted Cruz pointed out this week, media Democrats covering up illegal alien crimes because illegals are viewed as future Democrat voters, quote unquote. Senator Ted Cruz said this week that the media and Democrat politicians are doing everything they can to hide the fact that the man who was accused of murdering a Georgia college student last week is an illegal alien because the political left views illegal aliens as future Democrat voters. Cruz was asked during an interview on Wednesday why the media was not reporting the fact that the suspect in this case is an illegal alien who entered the U.S. as part of President Joe Biden's border crisis, the worst illegal immigration crisis in U.S. history. Quote, because they support the open borders we had, Cruz says. The 10.6 million illegal immigrants who have crossed under Joe Biden, Democrats and the media both view all of them as future Democrat voters. And so if people have to die, if children have to be assaulted, if women have to be raped, they are willing to accept that as collateral damage. The odds of a major terrorist attack in America are greater than they have been at any point since September 11th, 2001, Cruz continued. Every time I'm on the border, when I talk to Border Patrol agents, they tell me that they are concerned about Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists crossing over and trying to commit another mass murder like October 7th. You think? What else you think they hear? And I can't hammer this point home enough. Democrats, he's exactly right. Democrats will accept these people's murders. Laken Riley, this 2-year-old, this poor girl, 11-year-old in Utah that was raped. All this week, within the last 7 days, so that they can flood the country with what they think are potential new voters to subvert the will of the American citizens who are here now. They can't win on their own. They couldn't win in 2020, so they suppressed Hunter Biden laptop story. They suppressed the truth from the American people. They changed all the voting laws with mail-in ballot and the voter ID laws with those mail-in ballots. The signatures that have to match and all this. Counted ballots after election days in some states. All these rules they changed. They will do whatever it is to stay in power and fundamentally transform the United States of America, as Barack Obama so eloquently put it. Everybody be damned. You are just a bug in the way of them on their road to one world government, United Nations ruling all, and subverting the will of the American people. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Check this out. This is the story. This is the links that they're going to now. This is the links they're going to make sure all this happens.
The American people know that if you head to the airport, you want to jump on a flight here in the United States, you bring a valid form of ID. I always use my Montana driver's license. I imagine some of you, maybe it's even happened to yourself, you show up at the airport, you run a little late, might have forgotten an ID back home. You don't try to enter through TSA to get to the terminal because you know you'll be turned back without a valid form of ID. This is an actual sign that's popped up.
Look at this.
At the Delta terminal at the Miami airport. Instructions for illegals to use their CBP One app, that's the Customs Border Patrol app, at TSA checkpoints as a valid form of ID to board a plane in the United States. For those who don't know, the CBP One app provides appointments for migrants who are claiming asylum at the border. Migrants, particularly those wanted for crimes, can fill in any basic information they want in the app and be let into the country. The goal is to, and I quote, validate adult non-U.S. citizen travel documentation when the traveler does not otherwise have an acceptable form of identification. However, it also notes that photos are optional. It says that multiple times. It says they can provide biographical information if requested, but notes that information is not stored, again, multiple times. How is this even serious? Illegals coming to the United States from countries that are designated state sponsors of terror and on terror watch lists can use this process. Americans, think about this for a moment. We, as Americans, are going to be forced to acquire a real ID by May of 2025, or you, or anybody else here, myself, will be barred from boarding a flight in the United States. How in the world can we justify this when illegal immigrants are allowed to board planes with unverifiable information they filled out on an app? The administration, the Senate Democrats say they're concerned about the southern border, but their actions prove otherwise. It's time to get serious.
Let's go. So, did you know that? They can just go show an app that says that they are seeking asylum, no proof of who they are, no proof of their name, no proof of anything that the information they've inserted into the app is accurate, no photo verification, no documents stored about these people, and they can get on the plane and sit right next to your ass. Could be Hamas, Hezbollah. You don't know. You don't know who you're sitting next to. They don't know either is the problem. The government does not know who these people are. They just gave them a phone so they could sign up for an app. And now they're sleeping in the airports everywhere. If you're pushing it late to your plane, you might show up to the gate and find out they gave your seat away to one of these people. It's been happening as well. That's been reported. It makes absolutely zero sense, except for the fact that you call it intentional. Now, if you start to realize this is by design and that this is exactly what they're intending to do, to subvert the will of the American people, to drown out and override the vote of the American people by importing an entire new class of permanently dependent citizens on the government, permanently dependent from everything they get, their phone, their housing. The Medicaid now is paying for housing, paying rent. All the stuff they're getting, and they're treated better than America's homeless that's on the side of the street. Now, you better realize that it's on purpose. It's all by design. And Matt Gaetz just called out Mayorkas here recently. I think this came out today, where he said, I don't think you're incompetent. Nobody can be this damn incompetent. This shit is on purpose and by design. Watch Matt Gaetz. It's a thing of beauty.
100,000 people have encountered your CBP agents, and those folks have been released into the country. Like, some of those people are going to commit crimes, aren't they?
Congressman, may I have a moment to answer your questions?
Will some of the 800,000 commit crimes, yes or no?
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly. And so the Americans who are the victims of the crimes for the people that you release in the country are collateral damage that you are willing to accept in order to have our border function as a turnstile. You're willing to accept that collateral damage.
Congressman, I couldn't disagree with you more. Let me give you, if I can, some data that will actually
more than the data. How about this?
Well,
how did it feel to you when you went to the border and the Border Patrol agents turned their back on you?
One Border Patrol agent turned his back on me, and I addressed that as the leader of the Department of Homeland Security. So if I can return to data, because I want to make sure that you have accurate information.
Everyone knows that you have more people coming in than ever, and you're removing fewer people than ever, and it's because you have no plan and because it's on purpose. See, I don't buy the theory that you don't know how to do this. I think you're actually a highly competent dude. But the reality is your plan is to bring these people in and to send the message to the smugglers and the criminals that they will never have to leave. That's why your workforce turns their back on you. And you have tools that you could use to deport these people. You have facial recognition. You have flights going all over the country, dropping people off. And I think we ought to use the best tools in the country to find these folks, round them up like they were at the Capitol on January 6th, and deport every last one of them. I yield back.
Deport every last one of them. Sign me up for that, Matt Gaetz. Come on. When the first thing you do in this country is break the laws, don't come here and tell me that you respect my country, that you have any kind of allegiance to my country or want to assimilate. There is a way to do that. And millions of people have assimilated legally, and God bless them. God bless them for coming over here legally, getting asylum, if that's what you mean to get, and that's what you deserve, then get your asylum and take your citizenship test. And most of those people, the vast majority of those people, love this country. They know why they actually did flee their homeland or their previous place for America, for freedom, for asylum. They love this country, and they want to be assimilated. These other people coming up here, killing everybody, beating up cops, stealing, looting, bringing all the fentanyl, that's not what they're about. And they have the door and the red carpet laid out for their ass to just keep on coming. And people much worse than that as well. So just to remind everybody, these are the executive this is the executive actions. 94 of them. Reminder, Biden took 94 executive actions in his first 100 days to dismantle border security. And many of them he took on his first day in office. He has all the authority he needs to reverse those actions and end the crisis, but he refuses because now he wants to say that Republicans are fighting and don't want to actually fix and solve the border, which if anybody believes that, I don't know what else to tell you in this country. I don't know. I don't know what more evidence you need to see what has been happening, but just by executive action alone, Biden undid everything Trump tried to do to fix the border. And we know it. It's by design. We're not stupid. But this is not working. Even in the bluest state in America, New York, or one of the bluest, I don't know. They give California a run for their money anyway. Mayor Eric Adams has had all he can take. And he wants to finally, get this, y'all, he wants changes to the New York City sanctuary policy. Oh, imagine that. They're starting to finally show up where you at, and now you want some changes to the policy. New York City Mayor Eric Adams called for drastic changes to the city's sanctuary policies, marking the first time he publicly endorses a shift that could put undocumented immigrants who are accused of crime in the hands of ICE officers in New York. I don't believe people who are violent in our city and commit repeated crimes should have the privilege of being in our city, Adams told reporters during a press conference in City Hall on Tuesday. You don't have the right to be in our city and tarnish the overwhelming number who are here following the rules. Look at here. He's had all he can take. And now he says you shouldn't be able to commit multiple crimes. Repeat offenders might give you a pass to commit one. Well, matter of factly, you're giving them a pass to commit the one that got them here. just like all the other Democrats. All these Democrats got blood on their hands from these people and these communities getting murdered, raped, beat up, mugged, all of that. It's all on the Democrats' hands. Don't forget about this story. I know you remember this story. It wasn't, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where, here you go, brawl between migrants and police in New York Times Square touches off backlash. A video showing a group of migrants brawling with police in Times Square has touched off a political furor and renewed debate of a longstanding New York City policy that limits cooperation between local police and federal immigration authorities. The surveillance footage recorded on January 27th outside a Manhattan homeless shelter shows several men kicking officers on the sidewalk and trying to pry them off a man police have taken to the ground. Police have arrested 7 people in connection with the attack. Y'all remember this story. It was about a month ago. And this is the kind of environment that Mayor Adams and all these blue people running these blue cities and states have created and invited, and it set a tinderbox for all this kind of stuff. What happened? You remember the guy that got arrested that did all this stuff? Remember what happened when he got out of jail? That's him. Just flipping off the camera, not giving the 2 F's about you, about your country, about your law enforcement, about your rules, about your law, about your sovereignty. Give me my phone. I'm going back to my hotel where I can get my freaking gift card that's prepaid by the American taxpayer and chill in my hotel in Manhattan, New York. That's what it is. That's what it is. Don't forget, you remember what I talked to you about that gift card stuff? Here it is, right here. Adams bold bet, $53 million for migrant debit cards, up to $10,000 per recipient, sparks controversy. I wonder why. I wonder why, if you came off the border in Texas, where you want to go, huh? They're giving free gift cards away in New York City. I wonder what California's offering. We can do it's literally it's competition. It's quality and competition. Capitalism being put to work for the illegal immigrants. Which city they can go to get the most benefits off the American taxpayer. Mayor Eric Adams' initiative to distribute prepaid debit cards to migrants has ignited a firestorm of debate and scrutiny. This bold move, shrouded in secrecy and lacking public transparency, raises significant questions about accountability, effectiveness, and the potential for misuse. So, as if you needed any more of a magnet to try to get people to your city, there you go, New York. There you go. The migrants, the citizens complain about migrants just pissing on their porch and everything else at their own house. Panhandling, they're going door to door asking for money. Beating cops, they're trying to impose curfews just on illegal immigrants to get them off the streets at night because it's so dangerous. And now Mayor Eric Adams says, well, some of these people need to go, Now, we can still let a lot of them in, but if you're over here beating up cops, maybe you shouldn't be here. That's the line. That's the standard that they have in New York City. That's what it is. And don't forget, y'all, the Republicans own the House of Representatives. They have power. They can use their power of the House to shut down the government and demand border responsibility, border security, and reform to the immigration system to try to fix what's going on. We know it's by design. We know Biden all this did it, executive orders, the first 100 days, the first day. We know Mayorkas is doing this by design, releasing everybody into the country to flood the voter rolls. And all they want is supermajority one more time in the House and the Senate. And all these people will then citizens next to you, and you have one party rule, one party control from here on out. But don't matter. That's all worth it to them. That's all worth it to them. But Republicans in the House, they got one shot, and they have one bit of power at all to try to stop this. And what are they doing? They passing another short-term funding bill to avert shutdown. Look at there. They had a chance. They could shut the government down. Nope, they're just going to continue right along with it. I'm not even going to read the article. They just passed another damn bill. Just continue what? The status quo. They can stand up, get on the steps of the Capitol, telling everybody we shutting the government down because The border's out of control, and we are fighting for the American citizen, for the American community, for the American voter, and they won't do it. They won't do it because I guess they all scared of a shutdown. A shutdown is too controversial. Got everybody scared for the political future, I guess. That's more important than the country itself. Well, if that isn't quite clear, then I don't know what is. Now, moving right along from New York, down in Georgia, where Fani Willis is looking to be in trouble, y'all. Seriously, she's having a bad time. The hearing on Fani Willis and the misconduct resumed yesterday, and there was quite the controversy and, dare I say, the full level of corruption and incompetence put very much on display for the American people to see yesterday. Now, we have tomorrow the decision looming on Fulton DA Fani Willis, Nathan Wade disqualification. This is from, what is this? Atlanta News First. Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County Supervisor Court. Judge Scott McAfee will hear summary arguments on Friday on whether DA Fani Willis, and her special prosecutor, so special, with whom she had a romantic relationship, will be disqualified from their investigation and subsequent indictment of former President Donald Trump. Now, so much was on display. I don't know if any of you guys caught it. We're going to go live tomorrow. We'll talk more about that later. We're going to do a special live tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the bell, hit the sub, hit the like. If it's your first time checking us out, welcome to WYS. We're a new podcast. Welcome to episode 8. Hit that subscribe and definitely hit that bell so that when we do surprise lives, that you'll be notified. Tomorrow, it's not going to be such a surprise, and I'm telling you about it right now, but we are scheduled every Thursday to do a live stream, and then we will do other ones during the week as warranted. So don't forget to hit the notification bell when you subscribe. Thank y'all so much. Now, she's toast, y'all. She's toast. We got lots of clips. Lots of clips. It was juicy. So juicy. Lots of meat on the bone for the Trump defense, and they feasted, I will say. Now, backstory is this guy, Terrence Bradley, is Nathan Wade's former business partner, law clerk, and was his attorney during his divorce filings and his divorce proceedings. They have text messages with him. The defense was texting with him the whole time. He was a songbird, sung on everything, matter-of-factly, about Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. And then when they put him on the stand yesterday, apparently, I don't recall that. Nathan Wade sitting over there looking right at him. He didn't know any of this would ever come to light. But now he's in court, and he don't want to be the guy out there singing like he was, ratting him out, but he damn sure was. So all he said most of the day was he didn't recall. But the defense did a great job of putting the pressure on him and putting him in some situation that he couldn't quite weasel his way out of. So here's one such video right here where they're talking about admitting that he knew all the trips they were going on and that he had direct knowledge of their relationship.
If he said more than one version, that's all relevant. We're allowed to talk about the different versions that he's told.
All right, I've overruled the objections version.
Do you remember telling me that it didn't surprise you that they took the trips that I found in the divorce file because they took many trips to Florida, Texas, California? And then you told me that they took the trip to California when she moved her daughter there because she failed out of FAMU. Do you remember that?
I don't recall that, but if I don't recall.
Okay.
I hope nobody was playing a drinking game during this thing, because if you had to drink every time he said, I don't recall, man, you had a bad day, and you probably still got a headache from yesterday. But it was very interesting, very telling indeed. Another text. See, these are all in text. When he says he don't recall, that means she's sitting there showing him on a piece of paper his text message that said, yeah, they went on all these trips. I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, they went everywhere. Yeah, her daughter flunked out of FAMU, so he went out to California with her one time to help move her out there. Matter of factly, not speculation. He's telling her details in these text messages that have been revealed now. And now he's just sitting there saying, with Nathan Wade looking at him, oh, I don't recall saying this. Here's another one.
What knowledge did, well, you just told us. You told us Mr. Wade told you. So tell us what Mr. Wade told you about Miss Willis and Mr. Wade meeting at the Evans office.
Objection, Your Honor. Privilege. This clearly covers the time after December 2018 that would be covered by the privilege.
Yeah, overruled. You recall the question, Mr. Bradley?
I do not.
You re-asked the question, Ms. Merchant.
What did you learn from Mr. Wade? I was clarified that's where you learned it from. About Mr. Wade and Ms. Willis meeting at the Evans office together.
I don't object to ask and answer. He's testified that
He hasn't answered. We haven't heard an answer.
He testified he had one conversation with Mr. Wade in the back of his law office.
No, and his answer may change. So
Tip him
overruled.
off as to how to answer the question.
I can't recall what the conversation was. I do recall knowing that he would go down to the office or had been down to the office, but I can't tell you in what capacity or when or any of that. No.
Mr. Wade told you that they had sex at that office, though, correct?
I don't recall him stating that, no.
You don't recall it?
No.
So it's possible he did say that.
Don't recall, but that means she has it in a text message that he said that they would go, that he was told by Nathan Wade bragging, yo, dog, going down there and getting some Fani with old Fani at the office, baby. Yeah. He was told water cooler style, baby. He knew all about it, but now he's sitting in this courtroom. I don't recall. Man, and so Trump's personal attorney got a chance to go with this guy and question him on all this stuff he doesn't recall on. It's a bit longer clip, but it's worth it. And Mr. Sadow, Trump's personal attorney, really tightened the screws on him. Let's see.
They met at...
Yeah. Asked and answered.
All right, understood, Mr. Body. I'm going to let Mr. Sadow have a few minutes on this, and we'll go from there. But
Judge, I'm sorry. I did answer this. I answered it for Ms.
Understood.
Mitch. I stated that I was speculating. The judge, someone objected to the speculation, but this was the exact same language.
All right, well, thank you for that recap, Mr. Bradley. Mr. Sadow is asking the question in a slightly different manner, and I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway to do that. So, Mr. Sadow.
All right, I hesitate to have to start back where I was, but after the word absolutely, you on your own said it started when she left the DA's office and was judge in South Fulton. They met at the municipal court CLE conference. That's what you said, correct?
That is correct.
Now, it's your testimony, at least so far, that when you on your own gave those two statements in the text, that you were merely speculating and did not have that knowledge from Mr. Wade. Is that your testimony under oath?
Yes, that's what I testified to. Yes, sir.
So you on your own came up with the whole notion that it started when she left the DA's office and was judge in South Fulton. That's, according to you, that's speculation on your part, correct?
Overruled. Answer the question, Mr. Bradley.
Yes, that's speculation on my part, yes.
Right. It had nothing to do with what Mr. Wade had told you, correct?
I answered your question. I was speculating to the answer. That is correct.
So maybe you can tell the court, in your own words, why in the heck would you speculate in this text message and say that it started when she left the DA's office and was a judge in South Fulton? Why would you speculate and say that in a text?
No credibility.
I knew they had met at the municipal court conference.
How do you know that? I'll stop you right there. How did you know that?
I answered that at the last. I knew that.
You now.
I knew that
Sir,
because
I'm asking you questions, and you are in a situation where you get to give answers. I'm asking you, how did you know that?
How did I know when they met?
Somebody told you that, right?
When they met?
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Who told you?
Mr. Wade told me when they met.
So you had more than one conversation about the relationship between Mr. Wade and Ms. Willis because he told you where he met her.
That's
correct?
Incorrect. Incorrect.
It's incorrect.
It's incorrect.
Okay. Let's go back to the exhibit. Why would you speculate that that's when they started the relationship? What would cause you to put that down as speculation?
I don't recall, but why I thought that it started at that time. But I do recall that he only met her, and I testified to that he met her at that conference, which was in 2019.
You knew that Ashley Merchant represented a defendant in this case when you were text messaging with her, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes.
And you knew that the reason she was asking you questions about Mr. Wade was because she was trying to show when the relationship began, correct?
No, that's not 100%
It's not, but
correct.
the beginning of the text message.
Toast, man.
Yes, but what messages were before this message, before she sent that?
I can't answer that question because I don't have them. All I have is what's in front of you.
Yes.
And it says that she says, do you think it started before she hired me? So you knew, as the counsel for a defendant in this case, that Ms. Merchant was asking you specifically about the knowledge that you had regarding the timing of the relationship between Wade and Ms. Willis, correct?
I mean, based on this, yes, I see what was asked.
And in response
so if you're talking
to that,
to the defense, that's
you
going against
answered directly
your
on
former
your
partner.
own what you now claim to be speculation.
You know what this is,
right?
That's correct.
He was selling them
So
out.
I ask you one more time before I move to the next part of this. Why would you speculate when she was asking you a direct question about when the relationship started?
I have no answer for that.
I know you don't,
Except for the
sir.
fact that you do, in fact, know when it started, and you don't want to testify to that in court.
Overruled.
That's the best explanation, isn't it?
This is a completely
Overruled.
argumentative.
That's the true explanation, because you don't want to admit it in court, correct?
No, I have no direct knowledge of when the relationship started.
I'm not going to go back through that again. Well, if you didn't know, and you were asked specifically as this exhibit shows, maybe you can explain why you wouldn't say, I don't know.
And instead gave details upon details, having sex in the office, telling when they met, that they went on trips, so many details. And now he's like, he said, so his defense was, to all these text messages and all the exact information that he gave them, his defense was, oh, I was just speculating. And what they went further into detail. He got a copy of the motion she was going to file, saw the title of it, which is about their improper relationship and appearance of impropriety, and signed off on it and gave him the details. And now he doesn't want to say. And this is another thing that they really have on Mr. Wade and Mr. Bradley right here.
Based on what you've just said, let's go to what was Defense Exhibit 26. Okay? In Defense Exhibit 26, which I showed you last time, was 2 pages of text messages between you and Ms. Merchant, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, the first page starts off by saying, Ms. Merchant, like, just date, don't hire him. Do you think it started before she hired him? You see that?
So she said, just date. You don't have to hire the guy. It's fine. If you want to date him, Fani Willis, to Nathan Wade. You can't be hired.
Yes, I see it. Yes.
And your response to that was absolutely, correct?
Absolutely.
I'm going to object, ask and answer in cumulative.
Acknowledging that they know that it's crooked, that they know it's wrong, that they know everything that they were doing was wrong, using the taxpayer monies to go on trips, hiring your boyfriend to be on this high-profile case who was way underexperienced and paying him way more than everybody else on the case and way more than you would typically pay somebody in that situation. So last thing she asked...
Recall me asking you how they would react if they would attack me.
Everything he said.
And you said, no, they will deny it.
Your Honor, objection as to speculation as to how he thinks they will react.
I think that goes to the motivations of the witness overall.
And you told me that they will deny it.
Yeah, that's written in there, yes.
I just want to, one last opportunity. You're an officer of the court, correct?
I am.
And you're under oath today?
I am.
Is there any of your testimony from today or the previous days that you want to correct?
That I want to correct?
Yes.
No, I told you everything that I've answered everything that you asked.
Thank you.
And when she said you're an officer of the court, there's a reason, because when you're an officer of the court, you're held to different standards. The same way Fani Willis is, the same way he is. If you lie under oath and perjure yourself as an officer of the court, it is extremely bad. You can lose your law license for that. You can go to jail for that because you have such high responsibility as an officer of the court. So now, the other thing is the judge, and having to see if he could allow this into the trial and allow these texts to come out, has seen every bit of this. So the judge knows exactly what those texts say. The judge knows exactly why they're asking Mr. Bradley those questions. And the judge knows exactly when Mr. Bradley says he doesn't recall or he doesn't know, is that it totally is avoiding to sell out his former business partner in front of his face on national TV and wreck this case for Trump in Atlanta and Fulton County. And newsflash, it's wrecked. There is no way this is not wrecked. Willis will be off the case. Wade will be off the case. Pretty much the whole DA's office has to be off the case. And then if the DA's office is not there to try it, the case is out. The case is out. So this is what a lot of people thought was the biggest case the Democrats had, the best chance they had to get Trump, put him in jail and all that. And so this looks like, because Democrats are corrupt, newsflash, and now their corruption looks like is going to get this case thrown out on prejudice. So before we move on to the last story, I'm just going to replay this clip of Fani Willis, so high on her horse, so high and mighty, espousing all her virtues and claiming to be the best Fulton County has to offer, and why that is. One more time. Doesn't get old.
This office is not about Paul L. Howard Jr. This office is not about Fani Willis. This office is about the people of Fulton County. And the people of Fulton County deserve the very best. She's sitting here with you today. She is the person that is going to actually bring programs that, instead of indicting thousands of black and brown young men, thousands of people in general, we're going to put them in programs and change their lives. Because you're sitting in front of someone that is actually going to deal with these repeat offenders. Because you're sitting with someone today that actually wants to make a difference. Because they deserve a DA that won't have sex with his employees. Because they deserve a DA that won't put money in their own pocket when it should go to benefit children. Because we deserve better. It's not his office. It is the office of the people.
What about those poor children, Fani? All the money that was going to Mr. Wade off the taxpayer dollars that was taking your ass to Aruba and on Carnival Cruises and all these other places that you went. I can't even keep track of them all. Just all on the taxpayer dime, right? Because the Fulton County deserves the best and you're it. These people are so effing crooked. It's good to see it exposed for once, because you know how rampant this shit is across our country and every level of our government. It's just sad. It's just sad. Now, with all that in the news lately, been oversight a little bit. the election story is not usually this far down the rundown, starting as the fourth story of the day, but we did have some elections over the weekend. There was the South Carolina primary, which to nobody's surprise, Trump ran away with. Almost 60% in Nikki Haley's home state. Not to be outdone, there was also a primary in Michigan, where Donald Trump won almost 70% of the vote in Michigan. Now, this has a lot of people, especially Nikki Haley, saying that, look, there's 30% in these states that Trump still can't get as basically an incumbent. There's a little bit to be said about that, but if you tell me that this 30% is so anti-Trump, so Trump deranged, that they would vote for Biden and vote for these policies that we got right now, these open borders and this weakness around the world and this inflation and everything else that's going wrong under this Biden administration, that they're going to vote for that just because they think that Trump is a little mean? I don't think so. I think that the party will unite. I'm not sure about Michigan and South Carolina. I don't know the rules if independents and Democrats can vote in the Republican primary in those states. Maybe so. Maybe that threw off the numbers a little bit. If not, if it's strictly Republicans, I definitely believe the Republican Party will unite behind Donald Trump. Now, Nikki Haley's vowing not to get out the race, but nobody knows why, because nobody is voting for her. Some think big donors, chance of Trump remover, are keeping Haley in the race. But Americans question why Nikki Haley remains in GOP primary. Quote, she's out of control. So she's over there calling Trump too old, sitting there saying that, her and BlackRock, she's going to bomb everybody and, I guess blow the world up into submission. I don't know, man. She's a snake. She just will say whatever she wants to get elected, and she is one of these bought and paid for politicians. Believe it. Believe it, because without the money, she's going to be in trouble, and she won't be able to continue on these campaign stops much longer. And I believe that to be true. And here's a story about that. Americans question. Oh, sorry. That's the wrong headline. Boom. The Koch network stopped spending on Nikki Haley's presidential campaign. Americans for Prosperity Action said it had to take stock, quote unquote, after Haley's loss in South Carolina. Americans for Prosperity Action, the powerful conservative group supporting Nikki Haley in the Republican presidential primary, will no longer spend money on behalf of her campaign. Man, quote, she has made it clear that she will continue to fight and we wholeheartedly support her. But given the challenges in the primary states ahead, we don't believe any outside group can make a material difference to widen her path to victory. So her own donors, their big money, her deep pocket donors are starting to defect, starting to say we're going to focus our money and our attention and our time elsewhere where it might be more fruitful and beneficial. And Nikki Haley just going to keep going, huh? Just hoping, pulling for the Democrats. She's mad. She's probably pulling for Fani Willis, trying to put Trump in jail so she thinks she can go to the convention with more delegates than DeSantis or anybody else and claim the mantle and then just get, pushed into the Republican nomination. I don't think it's going to work like that. I don't think the convention would even go for it. Americans won't go for it, that's for sure. So when you have a primary candidate whose only option is to get Trump thrown in jail, that refuses to concede and suspend her campaign, that means she necessarily must be rooting, like the Democrats, to put Trump's ass in jail. That's all I can come up with that. So if that's somebody you want to vote for as president, somebody that wants to put the political opposition in jail, Soviet style, Putin would be proud, baby. Think twice about that and who you want to put your vote for if you happen to be an independent or a Democrat out there that's hate watching. Maybe you can learn something, take some notes, and remember, Nikki Haley does not have anybody's interest but her own. Power and pockets. That's what she is campaigning for to further both of them. Now, some stories out of these primaries about these swing states coming up for the general election that were so big last time, that 7 key swing states, Biden trails Trump in all of them, as most key Biden voters say he's too old, poll finds. President Joe Biden is trailing former President Donald Trump in 7 swing states, according to a new poll that found almost twice as many voters say Biden, 81, is too old compared to Trump, 77, as the president tries to flip the script on age concerns by highlighting Trump's gaffe. Key facts: Biden is trailing Trump by an average of 5 points in the 7 swing states. North Carolina, 9. Arizona, 6. Georgia, 6. Nevada, 6. Pennsylvania, 6. Wisconsin, 4. And Michigan, 2. The Bloomberg Morning Consult poll found. Now, that's it. The election's over. Those are all the swing states. About every one of these states, the election stopped being counted in the middle of the night in 2020. Coincidentally. I don't know how. Pipes bursting. They covering up windows and precincts so nobody can look in, the ballot watchers. These are the states, somehow, that all have voting malfunctions 4 years ago. Hopefully they can get their shit in order this time, huh? As if that's actually the problem. But yes, he's leading currently in all of them. I don't know what the Democrats are going to do to turn that around or spin that, or how they can pause the election again in all these states again to change whatever they want. I don't know. It's going to seem a little too fishy to me if you ask me, but what do I know? I'm just an election denier, I guess, is what they want to call me or whatever, because I have my own opinion about 2021. But they had some polls up. Here's some of the data from this polls, okay? In the 7 swing states, there we are, +6 in Arizona, +2 in Michigan, +9 in North Carolina, +4 in Wisconsin, +6 in Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Georgia. And you can see the trend in most of these states is that in only 2 of them, in Michigan and Wisconsin, has Trump's polling gone down slightly. The rest are holding steady or going up. But in both of those, or actually in Wisconsin, Biden has gone down with Trump, but somehow in Michigan, Biden is climbing up a little bit to get almost even with Trump at +2. Now, usually I'm not a guy that relies on polls very much. Polls often oversample Democrats. They're a tool used by the left to sway public opinion so that they can make other people feel less obstinate, less obtuse for voting for their candidate. That maybe more and more people are like him. Maybe they're in a majority. That majority of America actually feels that you could vote for him, so you don't want to be in a weird minority. All these polls are used to sway public opinion, and they oversample Democrats. But if it's coming out like this, even with oversampling Democrats, you know it's good. Here's more poll results on that. One of the questions I was asked, thinking about the 2 frontrunners in November 2024 election for U.S. President, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, please indicate which candidate is described by each item below as too old. 44% and 38% said that either Biden or both were too old. So for Biden, that's an 82% number. By the way, that's what that math is. How you like that math on the fly? 82%. Oh, X written right there. I wasn't cheating. 82% thought that Biden is too old, and 47% say Trump. Dangerous. Now, some people think dangerous. That's that whole liberal media spin out there. That 45% of respondents apparently think Trump is dangerous, and 34% think that Biden is. Well, I think Biden's dangerous in a different way probably than these poll people took it, but yeah, totally. So on all issues in this poll, too old, there it is. Mentally fit, Trump wins and Trump leads. In good health, Trump leads big time. Dangerous, Biden leads. Compassionate, Biden leads. Cares about someone like me. It looks pretty even. A strong leader, Trump leads, obviously. Honest, Biden's slight edge and shares my values. It looks split down the road. I like how compassionate Joe Biden is. The little sweet old man kind of vibe, man. That he's passionate. Okay, all right. Well, what about these issues in the same poll? What is the single most important issue to you when deciding how to vote in the November 2024 election for U.S. president? These 2 issues are far and away the biggest, and the green one is the economy, and the gray one is immigration. If you look on most all of it, immigration is coming up. Economy is starting to go down and meet immigration, but the good news is for Trump supporters, MAGA, or anybody that just is against this liberal cabal, Marxist globalist cabal, is that all of these issues bode well for Trump, and those are the 2 most important issues to the electorate, all right? So last poll from this data, based on what you know, how responsible, if at all, are the following for the increase in migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border? So corruption in other countries is gone down in this last month. They don't think it's the other countries. They're the opinion's starting to go a different way within a month. Difficult economic conditions in other countries. Numbers are going down. President Joe Biden, that green dot's passing the gray dot. They're starting to blame him more and more. Democrats in Congress starting to get blamed more and more. War in other countries, they're not blaming that anymore as much. Famine in other countries, they're not blaming that anymore. Republicans in Congress and the Trump administration are both going up too. So what this tells you is that even though, now if you look at that poll one more time, those numbers are way down there below 50%. Those are the only ones that are 50%, but they are rising. So some of this campaign the Democrats are on right now saying the Republicans don't want to work with them to fund that border bill that was all about Ukraine and foreign aid, and the actual border stuff in there was terrible for this country, terrible for the rule of law, and terrible for giving any president any power to do anything about it. But the liberal media will take that mantle and run with it, take their talking point and run with it. And apparently it's had a little bit of moving of the needle happening for Democrats and people blaming Trump and Republicans in Congress, even though that number is far below 50%. But I will put this up one more time to remind you. Biden took 94 executive actions in his first 100 days to dismantle border security. He has all the authority he needs to reverse those actions and end the crisis, but he refuses. That's the difference. Do not forget, I cannot say this enough. Nothing was passed in Congress about the border. Think about that. Not one border thing was passed. No bill, no amendment, no nothing was passed since Biden's been in office. Everything that's happened to the border has been by executive order, meaning straight from Joe Biden and his pen to Mayorkas and the Democrat machine. That's it. Congress has no responsibility except for their failure to act. But it just shows you how much power the president has to stop this, why the border was so good under Trump, and why it is now so bad under Biden, and how he is the one that literally pulled the levers with his pen to open the floodgates and roll out the red carpet. So the fact that they're actually starting to come around that's going to piss me off. But as long as the numbers stay super fringe like that, then that's okay. But the tide is starting to turn on every poll against Biden and for Trump. It is about to be March. Happy leap year day. We're getting there. So with 9 more months to go, we will see how this shakes out. But Trump's still fighting these liberals, fighting them in court every day, fighting them on the campaign trail every day. And now he's trying to just fight to stay on the ballot still, because these liberals out here still trying to get his ass off the ballot. Don't forget this stuff. Illinois judge removes Trump from ballot because of, quote, insurrectionist ban. Don't forget, they dropped 91 felony charges against former President Trump, their political rival. All these DAs, all these liberal DAs in Democrat-heavy districts, all within 2 to 3 months of each other. 91 charges at once, and not one of them had anything to do with insurrection. Not one. Not one of them has anything to do with insurrection. But now the judge somehow is going to say that that's what he did in Illinois. In a surprise move, an Illinois judge has removed former President Donald Trump from the state's ballot based on the 14th Amendment's so-called, quote, insurrectionist ban. The decision is paused, giving Trump a short time to appeal. Wednesday's unexpected decision comes as a similar anti-Trump challenge from Colorado is pending before the U.S. Supreme Court, which is widely expected to reject arguments that Trump is barred from office. Cook County Circuit Judge Tracy Porter heavily relied on the prior finding by the Colorado Supreme Court, calling Colorado's, quote, rationale compelling. So this is not expected to go. This is old news. This is an old tactic. This is not expected to go in Colorado's favor. But I guess this judge just wants to stick that feather in her cap for her crazy-ass, liberal-ass voters that want to call anybody that disagrees with them fascists, while they literally use fascist tactics to suppress the vote, suppress your choice. They want to drown you out with illegal aliens, and then they want to take any choice other than themselves off the ballot so that you can't even choose anything but the liberal, one world government, Marxist, globalist solution, quote unquote. So I don't want to hear about calling me fascist. I don't want to hear about calling Republicans or conservative Putin lovers or Russian lovers. This is the Soviet shit. This is the fascist shit right here. Look it up. This is literally what it is. They want to protect democracy and all that crap. While they take the political opponent off the ballot, while they take the people's choice away from them, they, quote, want to protect democracy. Give me a break. This is the map. Key states where Trump's ballot eligibility has been challenged. In several states, liberal watchdog groups and others have mounted major efforts to remove Donald Trump from the ballot for his role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Now you go. The brown one, he has totally been barred from the ballot. The gray one's tried, and then their state's Supreme Courts or whatever flipped the decision around and kept him on the ballot. And then there's other cases pending from Maine, Massachusetts, and now Illinois. All those blue states. But they care so much about democracy, right? But don't want their own citizens to have a choice. You can't make this up. I can't see it for you. I can show you, but I can't see it for you. Any independents, any Democrats out there that might be watching or hate watching. I can't see it for you. Speaking of watching, shout out to the Chad. I see you out there. What's going on? What's going on, y'all? Oh, man. We don't want our presidents to act like Fetterman. I hear you. Except he's shown more reasonable comments towards the border than anybody in actual power to do anything about it has lately on the left. So at least give him that. And I'm glad he had a turnaround. But yeah, I get the joke. Welcome. Shout out to the chat. Much love to y'all out there. Definitely. All right, moving along. Right along, more news about the Supreme Court and Trump as well is that Supreme Court has agreed to weigh in on Trump's criminal immunity in historic case. The Supreme Court on Wednesday agreed to take up the issue of whether former President Trump can be criminally prosecuted for his efforts to overturn his 2020 re-election loss, setting up a historic case that tests the limits of presidential immunity. The judge's order keeps Trump's January 6th criminal trial proceedings on hold for now, handing an initial blow to special counsel Jack Smith, but keeping alive a pathway for his prosecution to reach a jury before 2024 presidential election. So Trump has been claiming that, he has presidential immunity for things he does while in office. A lot of presidents, I'm sure, Obama included, would love to have immunity. I mean, they don't want to be able to be out of office and you can go back and try him for using drone strikes on U.S. citizens without due process. Oh, yeah. So the Supremes are not expected to support Trump's claim 100%. How they rule and the way they do it will be important. The liberal media is out predictably in full force calling this straight partisanship, calling it nothing else because the Supreme Court's going to hear the case, even though everybody thinks it's going to get struck down. Listen to this. This is what's going on the left right now.
The reason why people like Mark and people like Dahlia seem to have a crystal ball is because they're real, because they're realists, and they understand the court for what it is. And at some point, people in the media, people at home, and people sitting in the White House have to stop pretending that the Supreme Court is some kind of benign, trying to do its best institution and start to realize that there are 6 Republicans, not conservatives, Republicans on the Supreme Court who view it as their job to help the Republican Party. And until we do something about that, until we take away that power, until we draw the line on them there, they will continue to do this. They will help Trump. They will take away abortion rights. They will end affirmative action. They will liberalize gun rights. They will do all of it until we stop them. And
how about that? Man, is it just me or is Donna Brazile looking kind of rough, man? I hadn't seen her in a while. I mean, it looks like she's lost a little weight, but her voice is like higher pitched. Is she okay? I don't know. Y'all get back to me on Donna Brazile, man. Maybe we can keep her in our prayers. She doesn't look well. Doesn't look well at all. I don't know if you even saw the caption behind on that newscast, Trump versus the United States. It's just the way I think people are waking up to this over-the-top narrative, literally calling a Trump a Nazi on multiple occasions on news networks while he was a sitting president, saying he is literally Hitler, quote unquote. I mean, it's absurd. And so now they're mad that the Supreme Court is apparently all Republicans and all they do is help Republicans out. Look at these decisions. Go show me one decision lately. Look at all these decisions. There's always Republicans reaching across the aisle. According to this guy, Republicans. There's always Republican-appointed justices reaching across the aisle on many of these cases with these Democrat-appointed justices. But it's never the other way around. It is never the other way around, and that's matter of fact. You can look that up. So all this crap and this crime they're doing just to scare people and stir up animosity and stir up fear on the left, it's just insane. It's really sad. It really is sad. But all this stuff is not even true. This is an article from the Daily Caller. The media is wrong. Trump's immunity appeal is moving along at a lightning speed. Former President Donald Trump's bid to dismiss his election interference case based on presidential immunity is moving rapidly through the courts, contrary to recent media claims that it has been, quote, slow-walked, unquote. Media pundits and left-leaning legal scholars slammed the Supreme Court Wednesday for its decision to take up Trump's presidential immunity appeal, noting it could have done so back in December when special counsel Jack Smith asked the justices to consider the question without letting the lower court weigh in first. However, other legal experts pointed out that courts have already been departing from normal procedure to accelerate Trump's case, moving at, quote, lightning speed, end quote. This case has proceeded more rapidly than average cases. Case Western Reserve University law professor Jonathan Adler told the Daily Caller News Foundation. While we might like for the underlying issue to be resolved more quickly, it's also important that the courts get questions of this gravity correct. While most assume the court will ultimately deny Trump's immunity claims, how the court does so is important and worth getting it right. So most everybody thinks the thing's going to be denied anyway, but you got Donna Brazil's ass over here on whatever show that is, Lefty News Tonight, talking about it's just a Republican agenda that is going to give Trump, that is make him a dictator when the Supreme Court's done. Let's give up all their own power as being an equal branch of government and just make Trump dictator, right? That's what they're going to do. These lowbrow bug eaters, man, I can't stand them. And the fact that they feed this crap to their own people and their constituents and their followers out there and their voters, and then they buy it, is really sad, man. It's really sad that people can be duped that easy. But a sliver of good news for all those out there that are tired of the Mitch McConnell reign in the Senate. It's over, baby. Romney's getting out of there, and now Mitch McConnell is stepping down. There he is. Mitch McConnell is stepping down, you guys. Gets swept away by rising Trump tide. He did not work with Trump well. He was not a kind and a advocate for Trump while in office. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's decision to step down from his leadership role announced Wednesday was both shocking and unsurprising. The shock rooted in the fact that McConnell has come to seem a permanent figure in Washington political landscape. He was first elected to the Senate in 1984 and became Republican leader in 2007. He's longest-serving Senate leader of all time from either party. But McConnell's decision to step aside was also foreseeable for a simple stark reason that beyond his age of 82, his party had moved sharply away from him and toward his intra-party nemesis, former President Trump, even as he remained its titular head in the upper chamber. Now, I'll give McConnell credit on one thing. He fought hard for those Supreme Court justices. That's the best thing I can say about that man. That was the largest minority or majority leader, party leader in the Senate for the longest amount of time. Now, also under McConnell, they've added $30-something trillion to the debt under his time in office. This last Ukraine border bill was something that McConnell signed off on. And I don't think you can call yourself the Republican leader in the Senate when more of your party votes against the bill than votes for it, the one that you put forth to work with these Democrats. So I don't know who they're going to put in there. I got lots of names I'd love to see. Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Josh Hawley, to name a few. Pretty much anybody that signed up on this border bill that just passed and voted for this border bill that the House wouldn't take up should be disqualified. If you voted for that last huge bill, and then came back and just voted for all the Ukraine stuff anyway. Whoever voted for both of those bills should be disqualified already. That should be step one. Disqualified. If you keep voting to set out this country, if you keep voting to put our children in debt, our grandchildren in debt, if you keep working across the aisle with the uniparty and the side that wants to cede America's sovereignty to the global ordinance, that wants to have these communities and its citizens have violent crime heaped upon them, you just don't work with the other side. It just makes me so mad. The side that wants this country to fail, that wants this country to fall, you don't work with those people. So whoever's doing that should be disqualified from taking this role. But it's a good time. And we got the Romneys, we got McConnel, and maybe we can have a new Senate majority leader after November. And maybe Speaker Johnson will remain Speaker of the House. We can have control of Congress and the presidency and get some things done for the good of the American people. God, please. If you listen, then help. Oh, man. But, hey, following up, we got a special coming out tomorrow. We will be live during the Fani Willis hearing on Friday, y'all. We're going to go live to something we've never done before, so stay tuned. Just to remind you what's happening, this coming out tomorrow. Decision looming on Fulton DA Fani Willis, Nathan Wade disqualification. The Fulton County Superior Court judge to decide whether local DA will be disqualified from Georgia's Donald Trump indictment. This is happening tomorrow, and we will be live during the whole thing to cover it, giving commentary, and hopefully it provides some entertainment, some enlightenment along the way. But we're going to watch this thing go together, and we're going to watch this thing hopefully fall in Donald Trump's favor. And so it'll be something fun that we're doing. Once again, don't forget to hit the subscription, hit the like, and if you hit that bell, you'll get notified as soon as we go live tomorrow to cover the Fani Willis disqualification hearings. Because just like this uniparty, just like these globalists, just like these Marxists, Fani Willis, crooked as hell, they're all crooked. And vis-a-vis their crookedness, they want to step on the rights of the American people. And to that I say, better watch your step. Thanks for watching.